G'day guys and welcome to episode 34 of the Bradley J. Dryburgh Experience. It's an absolute pleasure to be here, and if you're tuning in, I want to say thank you. I'm excited for today's guest because this guy is, I guess the best way to put it, an all-rounder. We're talking footy player, played in the NRL for the Sydney Roosters, played in France, had a couple caps for Fiji, his father's heritage nation, and he's done a whole lot more too. He's a father of four. He's a current Ninja Warrior, and he's probably the most famous garbage man in the country. This guy has an awesome story. He's a humble dude, and he's got an insane rig too, so it'd be good to get a few tips and see if I can get the body looking sharp for summer. Ladies and gentlemen, Eloni Vunakece. How are you, brother?
Good, mate. Thanks for having me on. Hi, all. Thanks for having me on, mate. And looking to share a bit of what I do as I guess I'm just an all-rounder, mate, like you said. Jack of all trades, definitely master of none. So just always trying to add to the skill set wherever I can. So, yeah, wherever we end up, we'll end up there eventually. But, just trying to add to that skill set wherever I can. Thanks for having me on.
I'm looking forward to diving into it all. You first come across my radar. I'm a Chook supporter, man. So I grew up my whole life as a Chooks boy. And I know you were born in Chooks territory in Paddington, right?
Yeah, mate, born in Paddington. So I don't have much to say matter, but Mum thought it'd be nice to have us all there. All my brothers and sisters were born there. So East Roosters baby, little chick, I guess it was. Yeah,
100%.
Born and bred.
Brother, I was born into it too. Like, I was obviously born here in Wollongong, but I was born with cystic fibrosis, and at the time, my old boy heard that Brad Fittler was putting money towards CF. Every point he scored, basically money went towards CF, and that was good enough a reason for my old boy to jump from supporting the Steelers to the Chooks. And mate, I just grew up and loved the Roosters. So as a young guy watching plenty of footy, and then sort of seeing you come across on, I think it was the Footy Show one time where you were ready to make your debut, and the story was that this guy works a full-time job, gets up at insane hours, sleeps 3 or 4 hours a night, and he's about to make his professional NRL debut. And I guess the story for me, it really sort of hit home because, my old boy didn't play in the NRL. He played first grade locally, and he was working like 3 jobs at the time. And so for me, it was like, it's old school. I love it.
Yeah, it was old school. Look, my parents are both workers. My old boy came across from Fiji with $60 in his back pocket. My mum's from central north rural Victoria, pretty much in a small town called Astounded. So I guess that blue collar was just in the genetic makeup. So had to work hard for an opportunity, and I guess that's what I did until that opportunity came. It was pretty long-winded for me to get around at the Chooks. I actually had to travel all the way around the world to end up meeting Trent Robinson pretty much when I thought the opportunity was lost. And pretty cool that it finally got to come to fruition in playing in the NRL. I'd like to think that's not the end of the journey for myself now, but it was a pretty cool achievement to look back on, and I hold in pretty high regard in terms of what I've done so far, and look to build on the back of that and carry it on to whatever comes next.
Definitely. It's interesting what you just said there. You said you hope it's not the end of the journey yet. Do you say that in the sense of footy, or do you say that in the sense of just life itself?
No, life itself, mate. Life itself. I was lucky enough to get to coach in the Raiders system last season, and we played round 1. I was actually running the on-field trainer's role, the orange shirt role for Raiders reserve grade in at Mounties, and was coaching there. And due to Corona, the season was cut short. So I had an opportunity now to apply my coaching skills elsewhere, and looking at upskilling that field and sort of help out other people wherever I can. Like you touched on in the little intro before, I'm all about sort of seeing people optimize themselves and better themselves and grow. From my end, in terms of advice would be through strength, mate. Like, just constantly grow and strengthen yourself, and you will better yourself. So that's where I'm looking to sort of head down in that field, that path. In terms of coaching, looking to get myself a little space at the moment, and
awesome.
Trying to help as many people as I can. So that's sort of what's looking like what could be next for me. So
That's good
I
to
get
hear.
a real kick out of helping people. So yeah,
That's
look,
good
we're
to hear.
still
And
early days, but yeah.
it's nice to wake up and do something every day that puts a smile on your face. Like that's been the real, I guess, the realization for me in 2020 is like, if you can do something every day that makes you feel good and you know you're doing something that's helping people, that's a whole, man. It's worth more than money. You know, money's important. You know, you need it to live, especially as a lad with 4 kids at home. You need money to survive and to live. But if you do something every day that has a bit of meaning and holds meaning to you, it's a game changer.
For sure, mate. For sure. A lot of people that struggle to get a little. I just read the book The Alchemist, mate. Kobe Bryant's favorite book,
Yeah, I read
and
that
it was
probably 3 months ago.
his favorite book, and such a great book, man.
It
There's
is.
so many little indicators in life. Like, listen to your heart, man. It tells you, usually directs you. It's the compass, mate, that points you in the right direction. So every day you'll come across something that sort of like ignites you in some way. So just keep following that path. You stumble a heap of times, but you eventually get to what you need to get to, or what your heart's telling you to head towards. So yeah, just keep finding ways to tap into that, and yeah, you live a fruitful life.
100%. Hey, let's talk about the early days. Let's talk about the footy journey. Where did you play most of your football growing up?
All right, growing up, so I started footy with Penshurst West. Penshurst RSL. I went to Penshurst West Public School,
Okay.
but in school there, I met a mate, and he, my dad was always a footy player. Mum's heavy AFL fan coming from Victoria. A schoolmate of mine asked, "Mate, do you want to play footy?" I didn't really care for it, to be honest. So I jumped in the under sixes. Mum said, "Yeah, that'd be not a bad idea." Jumped in, started playing under sixes with Penshurst RSL. And played there for a few years, started playing rugby union, and chopping back and forth as well. So I think under 10s, I started playing rugby union. I was a fullback / winger.
Hey, quick
Didn't really
man.
play any positions I'm Fiji, mate. I'm fast as. Well, I was fast until they threw me in the front row. So yeah, mate, my folk split when we were pretty young, when I was 9, I think. So we stayed with mum, my brother and sister and we stayed with mum, moved down to Cronulla. Was playing a bit of league down there, just for school. I always suck at explaining the timeline of this story, but
That's just too
I
much of a
stopped playing league.
timeline.
Yeah, man. So come year, I think it was year 7, started high school at Holy Cross Rider, at Balmain. Is it like a local footy? So we've had some great footy players come out of that school. I'm really proud to say that I went to school there. Year 7, I was playing rugby league and rugby union, doubling up on both. And 7 days a week, mum was having to drag me around to different footy training fields and parks. And it was literally Monday train for reps. I think it was Tigers reps training. And Tuesday was school footy training. Wednesday was weekend league training. Thursday was play footy. Friday was train for rugby. Saturday play rugby. Sunday play league. And then after a year of that, mum got pretty jack of that and was like, all right, pick one sport, we'll just stick with one. So I stayed with rugby union, funnily enough. I stayed with rugby union for a couple of years, from 14 to 16. And I took up rowing. So the jack of all trades, I guess.
Bro, rowing's tough.
So hard, man. Boxing and rowing are 2 of the hardest sports in the world, mate. So
bloody oath.
Yeah, rowing's real good fun. Look, where sort of some of my discipline stuff towards my training came from rowing. We got up at 4:30 in the morning. Look, I didn't have a license at the time. I was probably just 10, 15, 16 when I started. So mum, again, had to drag my ass around everywhere. She would take me down to Abbotsford, Sydney Rowing Club over morning, and we'd race up and down Parramatta River against all the GPS schoolboys. And the crew that we had was a non-rowing sort of background, of a mixed bag of boys from different schools. So we formed a little crew and would race against all the other schools. After training at about sort of 7:30, 8 in the morning, they would drive us across the river in a tinny and we'd walk up to school. So early starts, but the discipline learned from that, I guess. To be any good at rowing, you got to put in a shitload of reps. So from a real young age, about 15 years old, I took up sort of lifting weights and stuff as well. So it all sort of tied into my training. I really looked at Arnold Schwarzenegger as an idol of mine. My stepdad Andy showed me him when I was a kid, and said, "Gee, yeah, got this bloke," and just pretty much emulated him through as many arm curls and bloody bench press sessions as I could.
Seemed to do the job, brother.
Yeah, in terms of rounding my bloody shoulders, I got to correct all the imbalances that I created through my body now. But yeah, look, it just again lit a little fire, and yeah, I guess I took on all those little. Look, touching back on the outcomes before, it was sort of my heart was saying go that way. So, I've stuck with it ever since. I think it's been almost 20 years lifting weights now and having fun, and I've got to do a heap of cool things on the back of doing all that. So I'm just going to stick with it. I think.
100%.
Break, don't fix it. So yeah.
100%. And so you were sort of, I heard you were playing you were with the Tigers, with their squad, and you just didn't get the chance to play the footy that you wanted to play there, even though you felt you were ready to be in that side. And so then you went over to France?
Yeah, so under 18s, playing for Holy Cross Rhinos. After all that rowing and stopping playing league for a few years, my mates in school, when I was in year 12, I was playing, year 11, 2004, I was playing footy, and they just wouldn't pick me for our A grade team. And I was like, I just wanted to make this team. I got this sort of, just this chip on my shoulder. I was like, I'm going to prove you wrong because you're not picking me. So I just applied. I just doubled down on my training applications to myself in my training. That enabled me to get picked in a game we actually played on TV. We played against Chifley College, I think it was, in school, and I think they pumped us 34-10 or something. We got made fun of on national TV. So that was a nice sort of introduction to the higher exposure side of footy. So I thought, all right, I've got to double down on this training stuff. The next year, played in our under 18 side. I was actually working at Macca's, and the boys were on a Sunday, and the boys were like, "Oh, come play." My mate's dad was a coach. He's like, "Mate, I'll pay your wage. Just come play footy with us." So I said, "Oh, all right." He ended up paying me, but I substituted my working role for jumping on the footy field.
Yeah.
And had a laugh with the boys. I was a back rower in school, but jumped into the centres. Actually, funny enough, that year we lined up against Skidzy, Sean Kenny Dow, who was playing for Cordova Crocs, and I was playing for Holy Cross Rhinos, which 200 NRL games from later we played side by side, which is pretty cool, little sort of full circle moment. But we lined up against each other under 18s. That year I ended up getting a stress fracture in my leg because stupid me didn't take footy boots to train with me. I was just training me. I used to have these big steel cat work boots and would train in those, thinking that that'd be fine. And like giving myself a stress fracture. So grand final day we won the grand final, but my leg was busted come the last round of the year. I think we went on this hot streak of like a 36 game winning streak or something like that combined. So our school side was pretty much our weekend side as well. We blitzed our weekend comp. Our school week comp, we smashed everyone too. I mean, we played in the B grade comp, in the second, not strongest comp. Played against. Anyway, right, it was a good year, right? We had a great year. So I thought, oh well, let's see how this footy stuff pans out. I was lucky enough. My school teacher Tim White was our school coach, but also was in the Tiger system, an assistant in the Jersey Flag system, so the under 20s. So I was lucky enough to sort of bypass the whole trial system because I hadn't played any junior reps. I never played Harrow Mats. I never played SG ball, which is your under 16s, under 18s, your stepping stones into. I didn't play any Aussie schoolboys either. That was all usually your stepping stones and pathways. So it's like for kids that don't. I guess I'm a poster boy for kids who haven't made it. Like if you don't make that Aussie schoolboy side or the New South Wales CCC side or whatever side you want to class yourself as not making, it's not the be all and end all. I was lucky enough to play alongside Ben Teo, who was the best schoolboy player at the time. Went on to win an heap of accolades and playing Origin and being an enforcer for South Sydney. And I came through the opposite side of the system that he did, and still went on to go and play at. I played national level and played NRL just through not going through those pathways as well. So guess a cooler thing, yeah, for any young kids out there watching and stuff, it's not the burn and all if you don't make it. So,
100%. And that's hard for a lot of kids.
No, yeah, it is hard. I mean, it's not all sunshine and rainbows for everyone, but sometimes that can be a defining moment, and they help you become the person who you're intended to become.
100%.
So, yeah, I hate using the cliche of the journey, but sometimes the journey just makes it a lot more sweet when you
100%, and I think it builds
finally
resilience.
do make it. And even if you to what you're going to, you having that aim towards. Yeah, exactly right. So what's that old saying? Aim for the moon, shoot for the stars. You never know where you end up. So yeah, it's a
100%. It just builds resilience.
Cliche, so, but it works for sure, mate. For sure.
So then you find
You're
yourself.
going to come across some heavy encounters.
Definitely. So you find yourself.
All right, I'll just. Yeah. Basically, my second year of Tigers, no real prospect of, in terms of money too. Like, my first year of Tigers, in under 20s, no money back then. Well, at Tigers anyway. It cost me money to play footy. Just getting the training and stuff. What I was paid in at Tigers, not too great. But for me, that sort of just said to me, all right, stuff it. Money's not going to be the be on and all on why I play. Any money that I get's going to be a bonus. So my first year of footy, lucky enough, really early on, I was thrown in. But look, it was just my determination and I guess I just need to prove a point and show them that I could play. And I think it was round 2 or round 3, they ended up starting me at front row. In pre-season, I said to him, "Oh, mate, what position do you want me to play? I'm usually a centre or back row." And he said, "No, mate, I want you playing the front row. I don't know what your audience is like on footy, but front row is basically I'd like to think your hardest position on the field. There's only like
100%.
certain types of players that can do it." So when you hear that as a kid, when you grow up playing in a position out wide, you think, okay, that's going to be a bit harder. Anyway, in my head was like, all right, well, it's an opportunity to play. I said, if they want me to play fullback, I don't want to play front row, I don't care, I'll just take it. So I said to him, my coach said, "Mate, what do I do?" He goes, "Mate, you just catch a ball and run straight and hard." He goes, what you do? He goes, "You do that best, so just do that." So got to start with the Jersey flag side. And actually, we had Sammy Moa playing in that side.
Yeah.
Rangy Chase. Yeah, we had some great players on that side. Who else did we have? Ben Terry played on that side too. So we had some
good squad.
we had a great squad. Darren Nichols, who he made his debut 2 years ago as well. He played in that side with us too. So I think we ended up having 9 guys going to play NRL from that squad. So
that's unreal.
Pretty good little conversion rate. My second year there, I injured myself. I did a bit of nerve damage in my leg. I wasn't playing for about 11 or 12 weeks, and coming back in the season, my coach was like, "Mate, are you going to play?" So I went and checked it with the doctor and said, "Man, am I fit to play?" He said, "Yeah," tested me. He goes, "Yeah, you're right. Should have approached me 4 weeks ago and got this clear." Anyway, my coach sat me down and he goes, "Mate, what do you want to do with footy?" And I said, "Oh, look, I want to play in the NRL." He goes, "Look, NRL is not for everyone, but," he goes, "why don't you use footy as an opportunity to see the world?" I said, "Oh, all right, no faith, but all right." He must have just not have thought what I'd had, what was required to play. So, or he just thought I didn't have it at that time. So I said, "All right, I'll put that one in the back of my head." And a couple of weeks later, I actually got the opportunity to play reserve grade against the Warriors, against Sonny Fye and a few like Ring Cooper, like old war horses.
Yeah.
For the Warriors. Actually, Sammy Moa, I remember watching a game, a highlight of Sonny Fye playing, and Sammy Moa said, "Do not ever run straight at this bloke because he will smash you." He was basically like the next Sonny Bill coming up on the scene. So stupid me off a tap, just ran it straight at him and got destroyed. So a little bit of the fire for me.
There's the ego.
Yeah, but that sort of, I don't know. I love testing myself. I remember 2008 Room Wiki having a hit up against Masia Soyola.
Yes.
I don't know, my favourite carries of all time, just coming off the back fence, full, just screaming and charging. That carry was the year before he actually did that. But he, I don't know, just inspired me. I said, "Oh, if I'm gonna send, I'm gonna go full tilt at whatever's in
100%.
front of me." So I always loved that big challenge. So I used to practice as a kid. I'd go down the beach and just run as hard as I possibly could at the biggest waves I could find, just little shoreys, so I could get some purchase on the ground. Because I'm shit scared of
100%.
sharks, so I don't really like going out in the deep. But I would run as hard as I possibly could at waves and just try and break them or get broken, one or the other. I didn't really care, but that was my training as a kid. Just used to run up waves as hard as I possibly could. I still do it now just for a laugh, just to see if I still can do it.
Steve still got it.
The skill is still in there. So I ended up spending 4 years at Tigers in reserve grade with no prospect at all. I think we trained with NRL once, and I was like by a late invite. So in my head, I was like, "Stuff you blokes. I'm gonna have to test myself elsewhere." And I still, in 2011, one of our managers there, he had a brother-in-law living in France and assistant coaching in a team called what was it? The Bears. It was Saint Garen's Lazur. I think it was I think they're the Bears.
Yeah.
And invited me to come over. I said, "Oh mate, we need a front row. You want to come over and play?" I said, "Here's my chance." My old coach, James Shepherd, his assistant out in Dragon, said, "Go on, mate, come and see the world. His footy's a tour to see the world." So took that up and landed myself in the south of France with Nathan Ross. We both flew over together on the plane. So the Ross dog from Newcastle just retired a couple of years ago too. No, he retired last year. So the two of us.
Late comer too, hey? He made a late.
Both of us.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got a little story on him later. I'll touch on. So we, Rossi and I both flew over together. He was top try scorer for Burleigh Bears, I think in 2010, 2011. Unfortunately, just didn't get a crack in NRL there either. So we both had these chips on our shoulders and stuff this year. We'd love to play in the NRL. We actually spoke about it one day. We were sitting on the floor of his couch. His missus and my missus, they're real good mates. Well, they met over there. They get on like a house on fire. So Rossi and I and Nikia and Mel were just bumming around in the house one day, probably just sipping on a couple of reds and some fromage, some cheese or something like that, just having a red, crackers and that. Anyway, Rossi and I were just sitting on the floor looking at them and I was like, "Wait, I reckon it'd be pretty sick one day to go back and play in the NRL." We had this conversation after we've had just chuckles that we actually had sort of envisioned doing that. And I think it was 3 or 4 years later, we both debuted about 5 rounds apart. He was
That's cool.
Round 26, 2015, and I was round 4, 2016. So
yeah, wow.
And funnily enough, I think we retired about 5 rounds apart as well. So yeah,
that's awesome. What's the experience like being in France? Because I've heard you either love it or you hate it.
Well, I loved it. Mel and I both loved it. Rossi only came in for 1 year. I'm lucky in that, in terms of the language, I think most people may dislike it if they don't understand complexities of languages.
Yeah.
My dad's Fijian, so I obviously as a young kid, I'd had exposure to different languages. In Fiji, we've got 14 different dialects as well. So not only do you have to speak your own language, you have to also speak your village's language, part of your neighbouring village's languages, so their language within their language.
Yeah.
I've only learned a lot of this of late, but I was exposed to it as a kid, so that helped me understand just differences in how to express tone in a language and just how to roll sounds. Like the Fijian R is it's a real sort of throaty, like a drum. That's an R in Fijian, and in French is you have to. Just knowing those little differences helps you get by. Like Nathan and I, we woke up, we were jet lagged as hell, and we messaged each other. He was living about 100 meters from me, and I said, "Mate, are you awake?" He said, "Yeah, mate, I can't sleep." He goes, "Oh, let's go get a coffee." We're in the middle of France. We didn't even know where we were. We were just thrown in this house the night before. We just walked. We just chucked our clothes on and walked. And France, stuff. It's not like Australia. You can go get coffee at 5 a.m. because there's a real blue collar sort of work class here that have to sort of get fed as well. So the coffee shops will open at 5, and the day starts at 4 or 5. In France, stuff don't open till 7 o'clock. Everyone, I reckon 7 till 10. And I have the siesta, and culturally it's a tad different. But so Ross and I, all right, let's go get a coffee. So we walked to the coffee shop. Like, looked at each other like, man, how do we order a coffee? I don't know. So Rossi, so back and forth, we were like walking, like we brushed the first one because we just didn't know what to say, and we got to the next one. So, oh, you do it, because he's a bit more ballsy than I am. So he just walked out of his can, like, coffee, coffee, coffee. No accent, no nothing. And French accent is real sort of like monotonous. It's like that. So it's in terms of learning that, we look like idiots our first try. So I thought, okay, there has to be some sort of application and learn done here prior to me going to speak to them. Because in France, with the language, it's try or a lot of the times they'll sort of brush you, which can be disheartening. And a lot of times I've found that they laughed at us. Like, they'll laugh in your face. Like, if you're in Australia and you get a foreigner come to you and say, where is the opera house? You wouldn't laugh in their face. You'll just point them in the right direction of where they need to go. Whereas in France, I found that, I'm sure it's just their custom stuff. They would, they'll just laugh at you and then maybe help you a little bit and so you walk away more confused than you were before you got there. So I can see why it can be a sort of a disheartening to some people, but no, man, we love this.
In Paris too.
Oh, it's way more worse in Paris. In Toulouse, Toulouse is the manufacturer of Airbus, the airplane company. So most people will either speak English or know enough English, especially all the working people, because there's so many expats there.
Yeah.
That you go into a shop and say, like you battle through your menu. Oh, can I please order a pizza? Je prends pizza, like you say it, and they're like, they'll listen to you for a minute. And they go, mate, not mate. I'll say, you can just speak English if you prefer, but they'll laugh and just watch you battle through it for the first couple of minutes. So
make sure you have a crack.
If you look at, just have a crack, because they ultimately respect you. I found the same thing in Fiji. You speak some Fijian, which was like most places. Yeah, you just dive right in and show them that you're willing to give their language a try. I find if you're someone who doesn't try to speak their language, then they'll be off you and probably less likely to help you. So dive right in, learn before you go. Learn as much as you can. I used to work at a high school as a teacher's aide before I moved over to France, and I was lucky enough, mostly Arabic speaking. A couple of the older Egyptian teachers there, with the Arabic base, they spoke a lot of French too. So they taught me a couple of words and and even speaking Arabic. It was predominantly, it was a 97% Muslim high school. I was teaching at Punchbowl Boys High School, which was one of the best jobs I ever had. But when the boys try to spray you, got to try and catch them. You had to have a sharp ear because they'd swear at you in Arabic. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you wouldn't know, but unless you knew, and then I'd call them out on it. But lucky for me, learning that little skill, you get ultimate respect from day dot. Look, I'm probably a big imposing figure to start with, but if I can speak their language too, it's a hack. Like
you're not the kind of teacher you fuck at school.
Oh yeah, one kid tried to bridge up to me on day one. Look, I'm not much of a fighter. Actually, zero fighting skill whatsoever. So in my head, I was like, you can't back down. You have to hold your ground, otherwise you're down in the water. So I stood my ground. But yeah, from then on, he was my mate, and it was sweet. So earned the respect, and then learned a lot of the language because the boys spray each other in Arabic all the time.
Okay.
Little language cues though that all helped for the French stuff. It was cool little learns, and it made my French experience much better. On top of that, all the footy calls were all in French too. Like we had French coach, predominantly French team, so you had to know all the French words, and especially numbers. A lot of our plays were all just numbers. So you had to. That's an interesting learn in itself. Like
100%.
An 80 in French is 80, which is basically 420 10. It's 80 is 420. It's like it's confusing to an English speaking person. But look, intricacies of languages are interesting. They're cool in themselves, and I'm glad I learnt as much as I did in my Fijian and stuff before I went. But I thoroughly loved the experience, and I was lucky enough to win 2 comps with with Toulouse. We won the French Cup, which our club had never done before in the 75-year history of the comp. And I think it was about a month later we got to take out the title of the French elite comp as well in 2014. So that was just after playing in the World Cup with Fiji in 2013 as well. So it was pretty cool year. I was lucky enough to make the French team of the year too. So
it's awesome.
Yeah, I remember the last day I sort of signed out of Toulouse and packed up all my stuff to go. One of the girls there who ran the women's team as a side job, they coached the junior kids, and they had a little school group with them. And I was walking out, and they were like, "Oh, there goes Eloni, the champion of France." And I was like, "Oh, that's a pretty cool little sentiment
It's a cool title
and note to leave on." So yeah, look, I'm going to claim that for I'm the champion
100%.
of France. So.
Put that in the Instagram bio, brother.
Yeah, might have. The one time, two-time champion of France. It's cool.
100%. And so when you've come back to Oz, were you coming back knowing where you were headed, or was it just, okay, I need to get home now?
No, look, money over there in league is, look, rugby union is like ridiculous amounts of money. Like I spoke to Cisco Wonga and he was earning like 35,000 euro a month or something like that. Like just ridiculous money. Like, which look, our French comp, I think it was like 1,600 euros a month or something like that they were paying us. And which is good money over there, apparently, compared to all the boys. And compared to Australian dollars, like, stuff all, man. Like, it's barely enough to get you by. But look, Mel and I, we'd save enough money to go on holidays and stuff at the end of each season. And we just knew, like, look, we're not going to get ourselves ahead on this kind of money. So, look, at some point, we're going to have to go back to Australia and start our lives. And 2014, with the winning the double, as the boys like to call it, we the two comps. We thought that's probably a good note to leave on and get back to Oz and start our life. So I spent 6 years at Tigers. I spent 4 years in reserve grade there with no real prospect of playing there. I still had a desire, like a heavy desire to play up. All right, I said to myself, all right, if I don't make it, at least I'm going to know that I went down swinging with every single ounce of me that was within me. So 2013, 2011. Robbo was coaching Catalans, and I actually bumped into him. He had one of his players in his system who lived in Toulouse, and rather than doing the commute down to Perpignan, he just stayed playing in his hometown in Toulouse. So he played with us, but whenever Catalans would need him, he would go play there. So Robbo's wife is from Toulouse, so he would come up and visit the family, but would catch up with his players in his system, in our system. So bumped into him in the sheds one day, just said hello, and the boys explained it. A couple of the boys had been coached by him in the past and said, who he was and what kind of bloke he was, and I just it was pretty cool to meet him. And then later he would, I think later that year, he signed with the Roosters to go to Roosters. I don't know where the hell I was going with that, but
can I interject quickly on that and say,
of course, man, go for gold. Sorry, interject whenever you need to.
I think
I'm a rambler.
in the next, no, I'm the same, brother. I'm the same, so I like it. I think in the next 10 years, when Robbo calls it a day, I'm pretty confident that guy will be the best coach to grace the game. I don't know if there's anyone as... It just seems like he's got a great relationship with the players, the team that... Like I said, I'm a big Chook supporter. I thought coming into this season, some big changes to the side, especially with, Cooper retiring and putting in a new 7. Man, I don't know, everything he touches turns to gold, Robbo. And don't get me wrong, those players are talented players and hardworking humans, but it just looks like the side can keep getting better and better.
I think it will, and he's a very smart human. He's not just a good coach. He's a very, very good coach, very good human, but he's very forward-thinking. He's, whatever you guys think of him, whatever anyone thinks of him, he's 10 steps ahead of everyone. So I don't think he'll ever stop coaching, to be honest. He'll keep coaching to the day that he dies. He loves it that much. So
that's good to hear.
The only thing I could see him going into would be possibly the business world, because the way that he runs Roosters is exactly how he would run a business, and he's very good at that. So, what was it?
So you met
that I brought.
Robbo, and then you
Yeah,
come.
I was going to touch on something that I found on Robbo. He had this little library that he had for us, and he's got a book on his shelf called Good to Great, and how to build a great company, basically. So after reading that book, he actually wrote a lot of his notes in it, and the companies in that book are some outstanding companies in the world in their own field. That's how they became. Yeah. There's a set criteria you got to meet to be within that book, and he will definitely take Roosters. I mean, they're already at that level, but that's like his entry point. So I think you're still going to see massive amounts of growth and change within himself and the way that he does things, and he'll be the tone setter for league for years to come. And I think the sooner more teams adopt to the way that sort of they do things, because he's always 2 steps ahead of the game. He foresees that where the game's going, and will I don't know. I have massive respect for him. One, for giving me an opportunity, but seeing the way that he operates up close is a spectacle in itself. And look, you probably haven't even scratched the surface on him yet. The surface on him yet. Sorry, you're going to see. I don't know. He'll pull something out that no one saw coming, and will change the game again and again and again and again. He looked up to Jack Gibson very much so, and he was a game changer in his own right back in the day, and he's going to be an evolved version of that. So,
that's awesome.
I'm really excited to see what he does in the future. I always, whenever I see, like, I know Roosters started poorly and this season, but for him, that's just that's a learning curve, and massive learning curve, and he usually steps out of it much worse. So you see him come out outside of the top 4 at something for him, mate. His accolades speak for himself, and just wait to see whatever else he brings out, because he's got a big trick bag that he can pull stuff out of. So, sorry, we digressed there. Yeah. Well, I'm confused in where I'm at, but just shoot, mate, and I'll fire from there.
So you come back home, and then obviously you get. I know you're playing at Wyong, which ended up becoming the feeder squad for the Chooks, and then that opportunity comes up to train 1 day a week with the Roosters. Hey.
Yeah, I was lucky enough to get a bit of exposure in playing alongside Petro and Ashton Sims and Tarek Sims and Corbin Sims, and with the boys in Fiji in 2013. Got to play in that World Cup. And for me to be able to do that, I had to come back and be playing reserve grade. So I came back to one. So what I'll do is I'd play a season in France.
Yep.
That season will finish in May. Fly home and finish the season with Wyong. So,
wow. So you're putting out some serious
got an
work.
opportunity to have a run at Wyong in 2013. Yeah, I played the 2012-13 season in France. Came back, finished the 2013 season in Australia. Flew back to France to play 4 rounds before the World Cup. Played the World Cup in 2013. Then went straight back to France after that to start our season. The season already started. It was mid-season. We played the World Cup. Played the 2013-14 season in France. Won that, and then went back to back to Wyong and finished the 2014 season, which actually was really lucky there. My body was busted at that point. I played a solid 16 or 17, maybe 18 months of footy.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just too taxing on the body. My body was shot. And I was lucky enough to play alongside Mark O'Mealy that year. So I learned a hell of a lot of stuff about footy. Mate, he's a proper legend. Like, everyone just calls him the ogre and thinks he's, because of the way that he's portrayed by a lot of people. He's the ogre, but he's actually a very, very smart man, very, very, very beautiful man, like a genuine, heartfelt person who go out above and beyond himself to help others. So, and I learned so much after playing alongside him, and taught me just little intricacies about footy and being front rower. Him and Petro they both taught me a lot. It's pretty funny now looking back at it all. I'm actually sitting in my childhood room actually when I was a kid. Under that bed there, I used to have a little, yeah, just at mum's house back at home now. But my mum's got the kids while I'm here. And under my bed, I used to have this whiteboard. And one day I'm going to play in the NRL. And then, funny enough, it came to fruition and got to play alongside. I remember as a kid, went to watch Roosters Broncos play and watching Petro take a kickoff against the Chooks and just destroying people, just stealing them. And a couple of years later, I got to play alongside him. I think it was 10 years later, I was playing alongside him. So it's pretty cool.
That's awesome.
Wyong. Right, Wyong and Roosters. 2015, Roosters jumped on board. They wanted to capture the Central Coast as their junior development sort of base, and took Wyong on as their reserve grade side to have a direct funnel from under sixes right up to NRL. It's a big catchment area. It's much bigger than a lot of the catchment areas in Sydney. So, they've actually still got with the Central Coast Roosters. So it's a pretty cool little system that they developed. And, I hope to see. Matt Icavalo on the weekend just scored 5 tries for Roosters.
Mate, what?
Out of that system. So
how good's that, eh?
Mate, that was it.
I was sitting there watching that thinking, for a guy that was told he was playing an hour ago, to score 5 tries.
I'm pretty. I don't know if I'm getting this right, but I heard is it 8 minutes into warm up or 8 minutes to go in warm up? One of the Morrises, I'm not sure which one. Sorry,
it was Brett.
Did his groin. Yeah, and Icky said, "Yeah, mate, you're in." And then to do that, it's I can't remember the quote that Robbo said, but I think it was something along the lines of work in the shadows to shine in the light. So something along the lines of that. It's and Paddy Lane, our strength coach, sent me a couple of videos of Icky power cleaning 140 kilos or something just smashing records in the gym. So
yeah, that's awesome.
To do that step up on that stage is. But well, look, he's another product of that Wyong system. So Icky came to us from Manly after being a Central Coast junior. And Robert took a liking to him and was lucky enough to get his crack. He's played 15 games of NRL now. That pathway is pretty cool. 2015, we went on to make the grand final, which we lost to Newcastle in a shit part of a memory for me. We weren't on that day. We had some good stuff. Abraham Papali is one of the biggest humans of all time. So Waimatangi is one of the toughest people to come out in New Zealand, I feel. Taught me a lot. We lost that grand final, but lessons learned there. It was a great year by us. I think I made team of the year that year, the front row too. Something which I never sort of got to achieve at Tigers. I think I made team of the week once when I was at Tigers, and when I went to Wyong, made team of the year 3 times. I think over the 6 years that I was there.
That's unreal.
So pretty cool little transition. Roosters took us on in 2015 to 16 sort of pre-season started. Robbo, I just went on holidays to Fiji and started working full time on the council, which is the jobs come up every sort of five-ish years or so. So it's not that often that they come up. So
council's
I just got the job,
gig, isn't it?
Look, the reason why I do the job is job and finish, mate. No one wants to pick up a shitload of garbage, but look, the benefit to the job is you work 4 hours and get paid for 8 if you're a loader on the back of the truck. So that's the gamble that I took on that. So, and for me, that paid off in a way. Physically, it's probably taxing, but I thought, I can handle it. I actually lost 9 kilos when I started on there. The first 2 months, I think I started working, I lost 9 kilos. So I was 110 kilo front row and dropped down to 101 pretty quick because of the meterage I was covering at work, and the amount of tonnage I was lifting as well. But
I might have to get a job on the back of the truck, mate, because I'm trying to get the rig in shape for summer. So
I actually have this idea, like people wanting to lose weight. It's always in the back of my head. I'm like, how could I work this in a way to, I guess, help people? Like, it's actually a pretty fun job. I mean, once you get the technique down pat, you get pretty efficient at it, and it's just running fitness, mate. It's
100%.
Every straight you knock off, it's just I just tinker over in my head. I'm a thinker, mate. I'm always trying to tinker and play with ideas in my head. I'm like, how could I develop some sort of a system of values to help people that want to lose some weight or get sort of summer ready. Anyway, yeah.
I like it, mate. Thinking brain. It's good.
So where we at? That gave me a shitload of fitness, like running fitness. I did a shitload of Ks in terms of running. And Roosters offer come around. It wasn't even an offer. I was in Fiji doing some work with Fiji footy and on a holiday as well, and with our Wyong staff. And they were in contact with me because I was in Fiji, saying, "Oh, look, Roosters are keen to take you on one day a week." So I said, "Yeah, I'm keen, but look, I've just got this job. Like it's once in a lifetime, but like a good opportunity for me to be able to juggle work-life balance pretty well, because working for 4 hours and getting paid for 8 that's a pretty big win." So
what time do you start in the morning for that?
4:30.
Okay.
So if you're a runner, like some days you can be done by sort of 7 o'clock. So
okay.
If you see me jumping around in the water at 7 a.m, it's probably because I've finished work, and most people are not even out of bed, they're starting their work day yet. So look, that was the gamble that I took in going for that job. It's shit and it's hard, but it's not a shit job. It's a shit hard job, but the benefits are you're done pretty early in the day. So
yeah, definitely.
With the Ks on the belt from that, it actually helped me at the stack. I knew when I went to Roosters, my skill set was pretty low in terms of elite level footy player. So I said to myself, all right, what can I win here? Actually, it's just the first day of fitness. I was like, oh, I'm actually winning this. So, all right, whenever there's a fitness thing, I'll just win that. So I just ran as hard as I possibly could. And the tough thing was, none of the boys were known, but I'd already run sort of 8Ks that morning. So
you're covering that much distance?
At work. Yeah, it's between 6 and 8Ks a run.
Wow.
I'm lifting about 600-700 bins, maybe more.
Dead set.
I got my I use my Garmin here. I usually track most of my runs.
That's awesome.
When I'm not driving. So even as a driver, you cover about 4K. So I've literally stopped and started. Like it tracks you while you drive, but I've literally spent the time stopping and starting my watch every time I jump in and out of the truck to track me, like running around the truck and helping the boys load. So, and that's about 4Ks as a runner. So even for the days I wasn't running on the back, I'm still covering some Ks before. So what I do is I'd finish work at about 8:30 in the morning. The boys would be doing video between 9 and 10. So depending on where my day finished, I'd usually just ring Robbo and say, mate, I can make it. I'm coming. He said, just ring me if you're not going to be able to make it. So I would just literally chuck everything in the car, drive straight to footy training, pull up, jump out of the car, whack on my training kit, put on my footy boots, and then run across the road straight into conditioning wherever we're at. Robbo was like, mate, are you ready to go? And I was like, I'll just do a lap around the field and then I'll be ready. And I'll usually just jump straight in and just have a crack at the opportunity that I've been waiting so long for. It was about
100%.
10 years slog for just a crack. So I wasn't going to let a little bit cold slow me down. So
100%.
Yeah.
And then so you took it on your own back to train more, right?
That's right. Yeah. So he sort of said to me, "I'll come in on our Thursdays." The Thursday was a quieter day for us in that 2016 season, the preseason, and I just think he didn't want to overwhelm me. So he said to me, after a week, I said to my coach, my wine coach, Rip Taylor, I said, "Mate, I can handle these weeks. I can make this work." I said, "Should I just go in?" And he goes, "Oh, I wouldn't do that, mate. I'd ring him and just run it by him first." So I did that, ran it by him. I didn't ring him and do it. I just let that week pan out, which is pissing me right off, because I was like, I'm missing sessions here of potential sort of upskilling myself. So the next week came along. I had to wait till the next Thursday. So I was sweating on it for a whole week. I wish I had just rang him now and asked him. It would have saved me a week of my life. Loved up that day. Got through training good. I pulled him aside in the training and said, "Mate, look, I don't know if this would work, but would I be like, my day finishes? I finish work around about the time you guys start on the field. Do you reckon I could just come in after work?" And he goes, "Look, I've seen guys do it." Robert goes, "Mate, I've seen guys do it and then buckle themselves pretty badly. So if you want to give it a shot for a month or so, I'm happy to try it with you. So on board, I said, let's do this. And was it? I think February came around, which is a sort of introduction of the Jazza Hargraves. And it's just Elwin. He goes, bro, you made it. I'm like, what? He goes, usually when you get to this point, like, you're in. I was like, nah, not yet. Surely. Because the preseason prior, we had Mitch Williams, our skipper at Wyong, Vahapulu, who's now at Warriors and played a shit ton of footy at Gold Coast as well, and Magnus Stromquist, our front rower at Wyong as well. They were all given the preseason, but come Christmas, they were told, mate, thanks, but if we need you in the season, we don't need you, so you can go back to Wyong. So I actually got to the Christmas party and I was like, this is it. Okay, I'm happy I made it this far. I gave it my best. I literally tried I don't think I could have tried any harder. I almost got thrown out the window day one by Boyd Corden in wrestling. And I got knocked out at training by Napa and Boydo on the same day. I thought it was all worth it. It was all absolutely worth it. But I didn't get the tap on the shoulder. So I was surprised come February a couple of weeks into January to be back there. And then there was the last, I guess, presentation was suiting up to everyone at the Leagues Club, East Leagues Club there. And again, Jazza nudged me. He goes, bro, you made it. You're sweet. And I'm like, no, surely not. He goes, no, it's all good. You're sweet. But then I was lucky. Robbo sort of rang me a week later. I was at work. He goes, mate, I know how your work would handle this, but I want you to come and play in the Nines, the Auckland Nines. And I said, I don't know if I have. I was still on probation from work. I only just started. I had to serve a 6-month probation.
Yeah,
so
okay.
Tentatively rang my boss and said, oh, mate, look, they offered me a chance to go and play in the Nines. He's like, yeah, of course, mate, just go. Ian McCann, he's a good guy, my boss. Awesome. And said, mate, that's fine. He goes, but look, I don't know how much more of this we can keep doing. Like, you just have to make this the last one and then we'll get through your probation after. I was like, all right, sweet. I rang Robbo. He said, yeah. He goes, all right, perfect. We'll book you in. And then, so I was just doing what I was doing that day. Then he rang me back about 10 minutes later. He goes, mate, would you want to come to Dubai as well and just come over there and do a pre-season camp to Dubai? And I was like, oh, all right, I'll just have to ring work again. So I rang him and lucky enough got the all clear. And that was sort of the start of heading down the actual path of playing in NRL at my favourite club in the world, the Roosters. So first stint was the Nines in Auckland and then Dubai, rolling around Dubai with Nick Politis, which was pretty cool. So
Uncle Nick, mate, what a bloke.
Legend. He's a legend, mate. Best ever.
Hey, tell me about the feeling, because you were, was it 28 years of age when you debuted for the Roosters?
Yeah. Feeling of the debut or the feeling of being 28?
Bro, both. Tell me about the feeling of being 28 and getting that tap on the shoulder to say, well, that call to say, hey, this week you are, you're getting a crack.
Yeah, so round one, we played against Tigers and we pumped them, I think. I got some good feedback after that. And then Mac, our assistant coach, was actually the coach of England at the time, rang me and goes, oh, mate, they want you to be 18th man for first grade this week. I was like, what? Really? And he said, yeah. Craig Fitzgibbon a week or two before that, so he goes, mate, keep going. You're a chance of playing first grade here. So that surprised me so much. And because I honestly thought I was no chance at all. I thought, if anything, I might be lucky enough to get an 18th man one day. But so I still didn't believe anyone. Round two, but went down to Canberra, was 18th man that game. Jacko should have taken a field goal and won it for us, but didn't. Got hammered by Robert. And round three, went up to Cowboys, North Queensland, their old stadium. Ian Henderson, unfortunately, snapped his leg that game in our loss to the Cowboys. But that sort of opened up a slot for me. I didn't even think of anything of it at the time. I didn't think there was any chance. Come the Tuesday, we flew back home. Come the Tuesday training, I did what I usually did, my normal weekday, get up, go to work, come into training late. I got to the field late, and all the boys started sort of remember Skidzy just like elbowing me and like laughing at me, and I was like, oh, that's a bit weird. Anyway, got through the day, and the boys were like sort of just like real jovial towards me and like overly like, I don't know, just boysy to me. Anyway, that day we had wrestle, and our wrestle is super intense, like super intense. You have to be on all the time. And Robbo didn't always come to wrestle, but this day he was there, so I was like, okay, I'm just gonna have to look. It's not that I didn't train super hard at wrestle, but like that day I was like, whenever your dad's watching, you know, you always perform that a little bit better.
100%.
So, sorry, I don't mean my dad. Like I mean like that type of figure. So
Yeah,
I was
definitely.
really on point with all my stuff and just tried, I don't know, extra hard. Just got set eyes on me. After the session, and our rest sessions, so like they were real tough. And you're always buckled after rest session. So there's me, Siwa, Kane, I think Isaac Lee, we were just sitting downstairs after just shooting shit, talking crap and smack about each other. And Robert sort of like walks through the gym, comes out, he's like, can I talk to you? I was like, yeah. Pulls me over to the side, I was like, mate, are you ready? I was like, ready for what? And he goes, I'm going to play you this week. And I was just like, yeah, I was just purely stunned, mate. I didn't even know what to say. I think I said, thanks. And like inside, I was like exploding because I'd waited so long for an opportunity.
Of course.
Yeah, it was 2003. I said to myself and a girl mate of mine at the time, we just watched Fiji lose the World Cup quarter final, I think, and against Scotland. It was actually funny enough, at Allianz Stadium. Repenting there, that was my hero as a kid. Scored 2 hectic tries for Fiji, and when Fiji lost, I said one day I'm gonna sort of represent Fiji and do myself and my family proud. And it was that sort of moment, I guess, when Robbo said that and sat down and said that to me. It was all
What a cool experience. That's something you'll never forget, right? And to know that you had the resilience to get there.
It's like, funny enough, the ground where I played was at Allianz as well, where the day that I watched and made that sort of commitment to myself was where I got to live out that sort of dream. So it was really cool that I got to come full. So, and funny enough, playing alongside Petro, and where I first saw Petro face to face take those sit-ups was in the same corner where I think I made my first tackle. I think it was on George '34 or someone.
That's a good tackle to make too, brother. That guy runs us like a brick wall.
Yeah, I got to tackle, like, look, my NRL career is not great, but I got to tackle a few dudes one-on-one, like Roger, Tuvasashek, Greg Inglis, like somehow, and it was funny, in the tackle, I was like, I was on top of them, like, man, I just tackled like one of the best players in the world. Like I had to do all this study on bloody Roger, because I had to know which foot he was. I think he's a soft right and a real hard left. So one day we're playing against Warriors, and he scooted outside me to my left. I'm like, yes, I got him. He's got no right foot step. So kids, do your study of your opposition. So I was like, all right, Roger can't step me real hard on my inside, so I can actually attack him harder with my defense here. And I got him, pinned him on his back. It was a one tackle, and I was like, I just got one of the best players in the world. This is outstanding. All those little reps somewhere along the way came in handy. So
100%.
Yeah, it was cool.
That's awesome, man. And obviously you come across, I guess, what is a huge talking point for most people in the NRL these days, especially with the science behind it. You come across the issue of concussion, and I think 15 concussions in your career, and 10 of those happening in the last 12 months of your footy career. What's that like?
Yep.
Just coming to terms with that, and the fact that it's happening more consistently, and it's probably going to pull your footy career up to a bit of an abrupt ending.
All right. Look, we play probably the hardest sport in the world, and the
100%.
Athletes just continue to get faster, bigger, stronger. So look, there's no way of decelerating a brain. So you're gonna come across that. I think that they're currently doing as good a job as they possibly can. It's still a very, very grey area. So we're going to learn the science as we go. Look, Mel and I are considering, we're 90% sure on putting our son in, but the reason I had to retire was due to concussion. So we're like, do we want to expose our son to that? At the same time, and you can trip over in the street and knock yourself out with a real bad concussion. Or like It's hard. It's a very grey area. That it's still in its infancy, the science. So, look, I hope in the next 5 to 10 years you come up with some solutions to the problems. But at the same time, what do? We just sit on our hands and not have any sport altogether. I mean, people are going to get hurt.
Exactly.
Like I said, walking down the street. So it's in terms of it abruptly ending the career. Yeah, look, that really sucked. I still have all the little footy habits ingrained in me in terms of if I'm running around my gym and someone's on the floor, I'll like left foot, right foot step.
Yeah.
I still want to play footy. My body is good to go, but I can't risk hurting my head anymore. So, I mean, yeah, it sucked that it ended the way that it ended, and I still had plenty left in me. But sometimes, yeah, one door closes and others open. I mean, it's my granddad sat me down and said, "Mate, look, you've had a pretty good run. In terms of injuries, I was pretty lucky. All I did, the worst thing I had was probably a medial and maybe some nerve damage in my leg. My fingers and hands are pretty bashed up, but apart from that, no real major injuries. I got to achieve a lot of things that not many people will get to achieve on and off a sporting field through the game. So why not, pursue other endeavours in life and get those sorted now. So yeah, look, it was shit that it ended that way. I was lucky enough to bump into Daniel Vita, who's sort of probably looking at being one of the next sort of rock type figures of the WWE. And I was booked on a plane to fly out. I think it was the 3rd of November, and I did speak to I just thought, look, I'll just lay all data out on the table and see what they're saying. Unfortunately for me, I think it was 2:30 in the morning, due to head to the airport at 4. They said, "Oh no, mate, we're gonna have to knock you back on coming over and being in the WWE." So yeah, I was scheduled for a trial over there. Spent a couple of days in Orlando in their training center. But look, such is life, man. I love a chance, but look, that's a pretty lethal sport. Not lethal, like tough sport in itself. Like one wrong move and a twist, and like that could be it for me. Like disconnect their brainstem or something. They're awesome athletes, the way they do it, but you have to be highly rehearsed in doing all that stuff. Like one little wrong move or twist can be pretty much fatal in some of the stuff that they do. So they're putting on a show. They're definitely showmen, but it's tough sport, and unfortunately for me, something I couldn't partake in. But it's still cool just even to be considered. So I'll just run with that for now.
Is
WWE candidate.
Definitely. Is that the motivation behind Ninja Warrior and how that come about? That I guess that want, almost like a want, but also a need to competitively push yourself on a big arena.
Yeah. Look, I always want to push myself on a big arena, but look, to be honest, the ninja stuff, I was lucky it came about through footy. Gal and I both had the same manager, and they asked Gal to jump on. And the guys at Titan, our management sort of firm, said, "Look, Gal's pulled out. Do you want to jump on?" I said, "Oh, yeah, of course. Why would I not want to do something like that?" Look, as a kid, I was always inspired by big action figure hero type characters. I'm Fijian. I'm always going to be Fijian biased. Vulcan on Gladiators as a kid in Australia, born before sort of 1993. The T-shirt got big enforcers on the show. A big Fijian guy. He's actually got a gym down in Menai. And I did get to meet him a couple of years ago. And he actually came up to me and said, "G'day, that was really, really cool and surreal experience." It's like, man, I used to watch you on the TV all the time. Anyway, seeing that show as a kid, I said, if I ever get an opportunity to do something like that, I'm taking that hands down 100%. No doubt in my mind that I'm doing that. So, look, when you see me on the ninja stuff, I'm that 6-year-old kid watching Gladiators. I'm just a kid at the monkey bars thinking to myself, can I jump and grab that 5th monkey bar in front of me? I'm literally just a big kid. I am the world's biggest kid to start with, but on those stages, the arena thing goes out the window. I'm just like, this is a challenge. Can I do it? This is cool. And then throwing the TV and the lights and the crowd and stuff, it becomes an arena, but I'm literally a 6-year-old kid up there. So, and I think that's the way you have to live life too. You have to just, I think, never say you're old, because once you start saying you're old, you start to die inside. Just always be childlike, mate. Just approach everything like a child. And yeah, you have to be, mate. You have to be. I've got 4 kids myself, which keep me a child myself. So look, I'm the world's biggest 6-year-old, and the arena's cool, but to me the challenge is even cooler.
Is it daunting?
Even playing the course, yeah, it is.
Yeah.
It actually really is. So there's a place called Ninja Playground which I jump on and train at, but it's like the quality of the stuff is so high. Like, it's to reproduce that is really tough in a commercial setting. So
Yeah,
so to
definitely.
reproduce the level and detail within the obstacles is really hard to produce in a commercial setting. So you don't really come up. The first time you do the obstacles is usually on the course. So
Okay.
you don't get a practice run. It's like they demonstrate through someone doing the obstacle once, and then it's you just
And it's up to you.
having a straight crack at it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's hard. It's so hard. Oh, sorry, no, it's not so hard. It's hard, and it finds you out on what you're where you've lacked training. So
Are you more prepared this year?
yeah, I'm massively more prepared. I just knew where I had to strengthen. So first time I went on, I only had about 3 weeks. No, I had 6 weeks notice and about 3 weeks prep. So like anything, if you're underdone, you're gonna get caught out. So I just knew how to train better this time around. So
That's awesome.
looking forward to everyone tuning in and
100%.
following, not just my own, but all the ninjas. Like, everyone's got a story on that show. It's pretty cool. Like, it's everyone usually has a good backstory behind why they do what they do, and it's a different crowd, different audience to what I sort of came across in the footy circle. But the guns on there, like, they're their own community, man. They've changed my sort of attitude towards training, and I've got to meet some cool people on the way. There's a parkour dude named Dom. I think Tommaso is his last name. He's got like 1 million followers on Instagram. He's the man, bro. Like, the way he approaches life, but his obstacle running sort of stuff. He's parkour, basically parkour god.
Yeah,
He's like
they always do
free
well
running
on the
god.
show.
No, he's not on the show, mate. We bumped into each other on a shoot. He skates down at the skate park he does all this parkour stuff down at the skate park that I take my kids down to all the time. So the stuff that, like, his approach to training, like, he'll look at a tree and go, like, I can train on that tree, and we'll flip through the tree, climb, jump, run, and flip off the tree. Like, there's ways to train around a heap of different things. Me hanging around with the ninja crew changed I found during all the Corona lockdowns and the gym closures, I trained basically off a building, just doing a lot of grip strength stuff. Just through hanging out with the ninja warrior people. I can now look at a tree and find a way to train on a tree and expose myself to that stimulus and better myself. Basically make the world a giant playground through, I don't know, just these cool encounters with people of different walks and
That's been one of the
athletic
best things
skill
about
sets.
COVID, right? It's like it's pushed people outside of their comfort zone to get out and get active outdoors.
Yeah, exactly right. I'd like to hope that a lot of people grew during the lockdown. I know it was a shit fight for the whole world, but can I swear? Sorry, man. I might have to bleep those out if you. I'm not sure which way to go.
What was that? Sorry, what was that? I missed that.
Do you mind if I swear? Sorry, I should have asked you that an hour ago.
Go for your life. I had Joe.
No.
You know the comedian?
Oh, Joe, yeah, he's the man, bro. I love him.
I had him on for episode 13, and I think there were about 10 C-bombs. So, mate, you're right to go.
Yeah, right. Sweet. No, I'll probably want to drop any of those, but I could if you wanted me to, but no, I won't go there. He's the man. I hope his show goes really well when it's on in it's at Sky City in Auckland. So,
bro, he's a very good human being. Honestly, outside of all the humor, he's a very good human being who's been super supportive of this show, and man, I'm just really appreciative that I met him when I did.
Yeah, no, he's a great dude. I'm looking forward to his growth and what he presents to the world the next year or so, and then go from there, from strength to strength. Yeah, the ninja stuff. Yeah, so that'll be exciting when it airs. I think it airs at the end of the month. So Yeah, have to tune in and watch that one. Non-disclosure. I'm not really able to talk about much more on that
Yeah,
stuff.
I can imagine.
Yeah, so it's
Hey,
going to be
one
an
thing I want
exciting
to ask
season.
you
Just tune
before,
in. Yeah.
definitely, one thing I want to ask you before I let you go, because bro, we've just had a real natural about hour and 20 chat here, which is awesome. I love it. When I
All
get a
good,
guest
bro.
that
All
can
good.
talk,
Perfect.
bro, it's great. The last thing I want to ask you is, obviously, big family, man. You've got 4 little ones, and you see them, especially on Ninja Warrior. I guess they're a favorite for the cameras. They're very cute looking kids. Talk to me about family
Little
life.
terrors, yeah.
Yeah, what does a day look like in the life of you guys?
So Mel and I, we both pretty much work shift work. Mel, my wife, she's a champ. She's a trooper. She's one of the hardest working and biggest loving people on the planet. She's a legend. We just flip basically. So I'll do the morning shift. So she's a nurse.
Yeah, wow.
And that sort of speaks for itself. She
Definitely.
works in palliative care. I'm doing a lot of chemo treatment stuff at the moment. But yeah, she's a straight trooper and worker. And oh, hang on, sorry, you there?
Yeah.
Lost you. Got you. I'm back. Yep. No, she's the I wouldn't say the boss. I'd say the organizer of the house. There, I'm pretty I wouldn't say cruise through life. I float through life. Like I never really plan stuff, whereas Mel's a big planner and make sure our days run pretty smoothly thanks to her. We pretty much flip and work around, so juggling our kids. Actually going on a date tonight, so that'll be good. Oh mate, look, if I had the cash, I'd probably have like 10, I reckon. We got a name picked out for our second son, but yeah, no. Look, 4's enough. It's pretty expensive living in Sydney, so
it's expensive enough to feed yourself these days, let alone 4 little ones. So
yeah, mate, my metabolism is ridiculous, and I have to eat a shit ton of food. So
how many calories are you in a day?
Look, to be honest, I don't count. I probably am underdone every day. I think my Thanos at the start of my day is about 2,000 odd. Breakfast that I have. But I still lose so much weight, so I'm either just too active or just don't eat enough. I've probably got to eat a couple of steaks. So yeah, and I'm not looking forward to 5 years' time when my son, well, actually my daughters are headed that path now, just being able to eat shit tons of food. Mel could eat a shit ton of food as well. Mel was a real competitive and actually really, really like high level swimmer when she was a kid. Was in nippers and stuff heaps as well. So always just like, I think she outdid me for Weet-Bix as a kid. Not that we sort of really eat Weet-Bix anymore, but she would just pump like 15 Weet-Bix or something like that as a kid. So she could eat as well. So our kids are going to be just little eating machines. So I'm going to have to probably get another job to fund that.
Get a sponsorship from Woolies, brother.
Yeah, something. Any butchers out there, jump on board. Yeah, so I just need some protein to fill the kids up, I guess. Start there and
definitely
go from there. Oldest 2 are in primary school. Our boys starting to play footy in the next sort of 2 weeks, and he's at preschool next year. So it's weird. Like you transition with kids, you go from a full house to none when they start school. So we're going to have one at home next year, which is surreal and weird to the 2 of us. But yeah, I guess we just upskill ourselves and be the best people we can for them to turn them into good little people. Look, with our training and stuff, we want them to be active and healthy kids. So we just expose them to as much training stimulus as we can. I think she did 30 push-ups yesterday. Look, I try and
I've seen on your story, yeah.
Little hacks it. Yeah, mate. Yeah, she just pumped out. I think she pumped out 12. Had a breather for a second and pumped the rest out up to 30. So, mate, she's a real hard trainer. The others not so much, but they've got their own little strengths and stuff.
Yeah.
Our youngest is our craziest. She just like learns through osmosis from the other kids. She just absorbs all the growth from the other kids. Like anything they're doing, she wants to do it with them. So
genius in the making.
I don't know about a genius, but like, in terms of like skills, like she sees them riding a bike, she'll jump on the bike, she'll try and ride whatever they're on. So it's cool. We're very lucky, very blessed people to have the kids that we have. And we just try to just parent them as best as we can. So, just let them hurt themselves, let them fall down, let them grow, let them just be kids. To the point of growth and get good growth out of them. We just want to make and shape good little people. So
that's it.
We love being parents, and I don't know
you can see that, brother.
Where else you want to go with
that,
but,
you know? You can see that. So congratulations on your little family.
It helps me being the biggest kid in the world and Mum being the best mum in the Mel being the best mum in the world. So we've got a good balance of it there for them. So look, I'm the stupid kid side, and she's the smart adult side. So we've got a good balance for the two, for all four of them. So I wouldn't say perfect, but it's some sort of a balance.
Hey, tell everyone where they can find you on socials, because I know you're doing some PT stuff now. You're obviously putting up a lot of content around Ninja this year, everything that's happening in your life. So I think people are going to get something out of going over to Insta and following you.
Yeah, just jump on my Instagram, and then my Instagram, just my name is just Eloni, Eloni, Vunakece. Just search Eloni, or Thanos if you really want to look up a stupid handle. That's my my name, Thanos, named after my my shake that I have there, after the Marvel sort of antagonist there, Thanos. Awesome. So that's where you find me. Looking at starting a YouTube channel too soon, so we get on that ASAP. So Instagram for now.
Content coming, hey. Well, if you've listened to this, definitely, if you've listened to this, I'm sure you've enjoyed it, because I have. It's actually been really nice to sit across from someone who can just have a good yarn for an hour and a half. It makes my job a whole lot easier, brother. So thank you. I appreciate everyone listening as always. Continue to subscribe, give it those five. We've got a clean sheet at the moment, all 5-star ratings, which is awesome to see, and just some really beautiful reviews too, which makes this rewarding for me, especially while I'm doing this full time. So super appreciative to everyone. Eloni, thank you so much, brother. I appreciate your time. Everyone go follow him and follow this man's journey.
No problem at all. Tune into Ninja 26th of July, please, guys, and enjoy the show. Thanks for having me, mate.